Yeah, so we're live here with Bendt, and this is pretty cool. First time having a band and like a full screen of people on this Nippertown thing that we're starting last couple weeks. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for
First,
having us, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So this kind of came on sort of a whim. So I got an email, Carl, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so Carl sent me an email and said you guys have a new release tomorrow, and I was like, let's talk about, let's talk about it on the internet because that's what
So
people
why
do
not?
now. That's what people do now is, we can't go out and do live shows, so we all sit at our desks and yeah,
So let's
Talk
do
about
that together.
let's do it together. Um, so you guys have been around since 2015, right, as a band?
how has it
Yeah.
been that long?
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 5.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah.
6 years this year. So, did any of you guys play together before that? Before coming together as this?
Huh.
Yeah, Matt and I played together in a band. Carl and I played in a few projects. Um, you
I
know,
was just kind of hanging around in the background
Wait,
until,
but Cody and Carl, you guys never because Cody and Carl grew up near the same hometown, right?
yeah, Carl and I knew each other, have known each other for quite a while, but we never actually collaborated until he asked me to audition for Ben. So we
Ah.
really didn't know each other musically, just socially.
I heard a video of Cody, or saw a video of Cody playing. I forget what it was. Was
I
it?
think it was Love Fool by the Cardigans.
No, I saw that live, and that was good. But
Oh, okay.
you were playing the Who. You played like you're playing this Who
Oh,
song,
yeah.
and I saw him playing, and I was like, that fits. We
Are
had
you?
gone.
Yeah, no, you'd asked me to send you footage if I had any, and that happened to be the only footage that I had at the time. But it worked out because it was
Who
Keith Moon,
song.
so
I was gonna
yeah.
say, as soon as you said the Who, I kind of peeked up. Like, they're probably one of my favorite bands of all time because
Yeah, man.
Oh well, he's easily one of my favorite drummers of all time.
yeah, I just
They
think they're
they
the first punk band.
oh totally.
They're
Yeah.
badass.
It's proto punk.
It's
Yeah,
literally
they're
it's a such like a combo of everything. Like even like prog almost, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
concept albums. Yeah, those just some of the most epic songs of all
you know
time.
everybody chooses. It's like, what was the best band, the Beatles or the Rolling Stones? Like, you're forgetting the fucking Who, man. Like, what are you talking about?
There's always a few that
agree.
are left out in there, but yeah, they're definitely way up there.
Yeah,
They're gonna
But
hate me
yeah,
for
to
saying
answer your
it,
question, definitely a few collaborations before,
Yeah,
and most Johnny and I were in a band for like 2 years probably before Ben came
Yeah.
together. So yeah, we've been doing this for a while now, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
and you guys
Um,
all found each other in 2015. You released what, a single that same year,
yep.
Immured,
Yep,
And
yep,
that was a different lineup then too.
yeah.
yeah. This band's been through 3 lineups technically.
three
Um,
lineups.
Well,
well,
just Carl moving to different instruments and different people coming in those spots.
yeah. So that single, Amir, give a shout out to Sam Piazza. He played guitar on that, which I love that lead line in that song. I'll go back and listen to that every once in a while. We did a self-produced. Carl made a video for us in our little practice space at Sten Spot. Was that North Albany
Yeah.
Studios? And Sam
12 by
Piazza,
12
our guitar.
room.
Right. And yeah, Sam just plays a killer line in it, and yeah, I give him credit for that too. And he was with us for like a year, and then Carl moved from drums from that formation to guitar. And then we had a drummer named Cole for a bit, and then it just didn't work out. So in summer 2018, late spring summer 2018, I think.
yeah. I think
That
so.
works out.
Cody started playing with us, and yeah, we just knew.
Yeah, it was one of those love at first sights kind of things.
Cody,
It just it just
Right
fit
away.
very well.
Cody had an epic first gig, if I remember.
What was the first gig?
I think it was like
Oh
was
well,
it Summer
actually,
Night?
yeah. Well, actually, that was the second gig. Our first gig was kind of a test run
Oh right,
um,
yeah. We played
at
the low. We played at the low beat.
the low beat. And then my second gig with them was at Summer Night up in the opening for the Spin Doctors. And I actually didn't know that actually initially going into it. And at first I was like, they kind of mentioned it in passing very casually one day. I'm like, wait a minute, we're opening for the Spin Doctors? Yeah, it's like, yeah, dude, it's our next gig. It's like, oh, okay.
Welcome to the band.
Yeah. No, and it's been insane ever since. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then
Yeah.
2017, you guys released the self-titled EP. So that
Yep.
was the three of you and
Cole
Cole.
Mead. Yep.
Yep. And then so I'm kind of fast forwarding through that because I wanted to kind of get into like the past year with you guys because you released the new EP, the 9-song EP, and then COVID kind of just like you guys released
A
it.
week before. Yeah.
You had like great momentum. It's great. I mean, it's a great album. I don't know
Thank you.
how do you decide it's an EP with 9 songs?
I think
Like
did
I
we
think
call it an
technically this
LP?
one's an LP.
Yeah, I think.
I considered it an LP, but I was looking.
Yeah.
I thought I saw EP. I was like, wait, it's 9 songs.
No.
Um, but so yeah, so the album came out, and then COVID hit, and you guys didn't get to promote it, didn't get to do anything. So what was that like? Like besides it fucking sucked, but like
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, that didn't.
You
That
just
was-
took all our answers.
That
Yeah.
first week from Leap Day, which was the release show, and then that first week in March, we did a couple of shows. We had a good time on the road, and it was weird because every time we would do a show, like there would be like a positive case in that city that day, and we're like, "What the hell's going on here? We have to stop."
Yeah, we
So-
just knew shit was gonna hit the fan.
Yeah, so we did a few shows, and then it just everything stopped. The whole world stopped.
Yeah,
And then we tried to figure out how are we going to practice without being anywhere near each other.
Yeah. I mean,
What
we were
are
very
shows
we were
now?
very preemptive about it, which I'm very happy about. Like, I don't know. I think we did what most people did and just were like, for now we can't be around each other, we can't play together, and yeah, that period, it sucked and it was hard. We messed around with a few programs, that are like virtual jamming with each other. And as anyone who knows what internet is like, it's very hard to play instruments over internet with each other. And
Cody, why are you always out of time? Can't you keep it like?
oh man,
man,
this
How
was
did you
like-
know?
if we've had band like frustrations, this is like, yeah, it's just like, wait, why are you slowing down? Why are you speeding up? And
Like, I'm not.
Oh, my wife is streaming something. Shit.
yeah, literally, like, oh, who else is watching Netflix right now? Because this program takes up like, all of the data. So we did that for a bit, and then, we lucked out when it was a pretty nice spring. I mean, it started getting comfortable out, and I think by April we were meeting each other at the park. We would either go to, well, we just did Washington, right? And then we would do the
Yeah.
Plaza.
Yeah,
Or
right in
we'd
around
chill.
Center Square.
Yeah, and just, fucking, we made it work. It was fun. We did all acoustic, and like, it was really sweet. Sometimes people would just come up and be like, "Oh my god, live music!" It's like,
Yes.
which I don't blame them because at that point it's like, oh, it's been like 3 months without live music, but little did we
And
know.
even then, people were like, "Oh,
But I don't know. That was our beginning, and the beginning was hard, but we tried to make it work, and the weather saved us because like that trying to play virtually was just not fun. And you could trade files with each other as much as you'd like Cody lay down a bass track and Carl and I do guitars and John bass separately, but you want to play live with each other too, you
Right.
know. So yeah, that was the beginning of it, and then I don't know. We kind of evolved from there, from going with the periods of how the virus went, when numbers were low and we felt comfortable. We were in a wide enough space to where it was okay, and we felt comfortable around each other. And then now we're back in this weird phase, where we're
Yeah.
just being safe.
Well, hopefully we'll get vaccines eventually. I guess you guys
Yeah.
are even in a younger age group than me, so yeah, I'm thinking like July or August for me. So maybe next year for you guys, but the rate we're
We're
going,
hoping.
right?
We'll
Yeah.
see, man.
Hey, yeah.
I don't know.
But
Well, hopefully we get some viruses or vaccines. I mean, not viruses.
yeah.
We have plenty of viruses. We just need the vaccines.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I've
I
had
think
enough
we'll
of this
get
virus.
there.
Want some new viruses?
I think they're coming up from Brazil, so I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. We'll
Oh
get plenty
God.
more.
But
Anyway.
we're almost to Groundhog's Day, which means 6 more weeks of winter, and then we'll be outside again, hopefully, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I mean,
Oh,
we're
Yeah.
I hope.
I mean, we're
Yeah.
we're upstate New Yorkers. I mean, 40 degrees out, 50 degrees out, that's t-shirt weather. So we
Hell
Yeah,
no.
we played.
T-shirt and
I,
cargo shorts.
I mean,
outside.
it's great on the instruments, all that temperature change.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
No.
We have looked at the bright side of this though, and when we finished up Brightness and the Barons with Justin, we had a couple songs that didn't make the cut for the record, um, and that kept us interested in writing more and more and more. So we took the time over this course, and when we were practicing in the Empire State Plaza and in the park, and trying to work with Jam Kazam and those different programs that they work, but it's terrible. We ended up writing a lot more songs, and January, weirdly enough, wasn't one of them, but we have 11 more in the works right now, that are somewhere in the process of being recorded and written, and um, it's really kind of nice to be able to slowly work on this stuff without a lot of pressure, without like, oh my god, we have shows coming up, so we got to work on the songs for the set. But instead it's more like, oh, we can take our time with this and really just kind of think about the songs all the way through, and whether they fit, whether they don't. And so we have a lot of stuff coming in the future,
So
which
when we come
Yeah.
out of COVID or pandemic, you're going to have two essentially unheard live albums. I mean, Brightness, because that's really you've only been able to play what, one show with that?
Yeah,
uh
Well,
we did
5.
release, and
Five.
then yeah,
Yeah.
5 or 6.
We did a little mini run. We went to Googs in Glens Falls, and then went up north with Plattsburgh, or no,
Plattsburgh. Mo-
Burlington.
oh,
Burlington, yeah.
Burlington. Yeah. Yep. So, and that was awesome. But yeah, that was right before it happened. But yeah, like we went through those stages, what I was mentioning earlier. But yeah, the overall theme is like we wrote the whole time. Like it was like, what else do you do? And who cares that we just put out an album? Like it. We might as well make another one. We can't do anything else. So
so
we wrote a
how
shitload of songs.
how was the
Honestly,
writing
a lot of
process different than like it had to be different because you guys couldn't really get together. So how did it go for these new 11 songs?
It was much different. In the first record, this one right here, the EP, that one was written kind of uh, all of us together in a room. The Brightness and the Barons was written, we all take equal writing credit on that, because if it wasn't for each one of us, it wouldn't sound like it does. But this one has been interesting because Cody is a great musician and producer on his in his own right. John's writing stuff. Matt's writing songs. He's great, and we're all doing stuff separately, and we've all kind of just created this pool of like, here's a song, here's a song, here's a song, and we've written them all out and seen how they all go together, and if they fit and if they don't. And it's been very different, because even with Brightness and the Barons, we recorded all in one room. Like, our amps were isolated and the drums were isolated, but or the drums weren't isolated. We were in the room with Cody, and it was great, because we were able to get really the feeling of us playing live. And we still played to a metronome, but you can swing around a metronome and make it feel good.
Yeah, that was
But
definitely a live album. Like
yeah,
we try to beat around the bush, but like that, that's the closest to a live like show you can get without an audio. You know, like
Yeah,
we just played to a click. That was it. And besides that, we just played our tunes. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I,
always
I
find it fun that we put the drummer usually in their own little room, and it just
well, no, I
usually.
it was you're right, Carl. It was our amps were isolated, which was perfect because it was like, you know, you have your obviously everything in your ears, and yeah, just being in the room with Cody, and this is Stone Lab Studios in Western Mass. Justin Pizzaferrato is the owner, and it's just like this beautiful space. It's in like the old warehouse district in East Hampton, right?
Well, and the sound from that album is yummy. I mean, got a nice
I mean,
sound. So
listen
I
to
don't know,
just
is yummy a fancy enough word? Like but you know
It's
what I mean?
perfect.
It's like
It's
it's
delicious.
it's
it
delicious.
sounds thick because that room was
Yeah.
thick. Like it was
Mhm.
it just had like this like gritty and big vibe, and like if you find an isolated drum section on the album, you just hear the
I,
drum sound.
you know,
That
I
can
was
tell
wondering how you guys were
quality of a room.
miking the drums. Like, did you mic on top and like below, like that there? Because it
Oh,
is a thick
Everywhere.
sound. You
Justin
mic'd
did a lot
everywhere.
of stuff. Yeah,
I think
Justin
Yeah.
did, I think, two mics on the top of the snare, one on the bottom, a mic on top and bottom of each tom, and he had ribbon mics over the cymbals, so that's why you get that like really meaty cymbal sound and not so bright and swishy. He had ribbon mics, I think Audio Technica ribbon mics on both the guitars, and John was running through an 810, pretty sure.
Yeah.
Mic'd up with some nice mics, and
yeah, I
he
mean
had
we
a
were playing through
whole,
like 50-watt Marshalls, and you know,
Oh,
Carl, you
nice.
had your high
yeah,
watt at the time, right?
all of my tones were a cranked high watt amp,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
you know,
and
and
you
and then
mentioned the Who earlier. You know,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
literally Pete Townsend. You know,
Well,
it's that
that's
sound.
that's one of the things. I mean, we're gonna hear it when we listen to January, but one of the things that I like about your sound is it's it's modern, but it really tips a hat to the past. Like
Oh yeah.
it's a major hat tip to um not just like the Who and stuff, but like the 90s, and it's a little dirty, it's a little grungy, it's not like um it's not poppy pristine, but it's modern, but it has that just that it pays homage to where we've been, and I love that. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
Thanks.
intentional or whatever, or just
No, it's like it's kind of combining the retro with the neo. It, there's definitely a marriage there between the past and the
when you
present.
say Neo, I just think of the Matrix.
Show me.
show me.
Sorry, but I mean, come on.
Wow.
he
Uh,
was playing the drums as he was going backwards and just you know
That has actually
avoiding.
happened before.
did you take
Well,
the Did you
you
take the
know,
red pill,
we all
Cody?
have we all have some pretty old tastes. We may not want to think about how old we are, but John's favorite band's Primus. They're old.
Wow.
My favorite
Well,
John,
your
band.
favorite
I hate to
your
say
favorite
it,
band's
John,
even older.
but John, Primus sucks.
Yeah, Primus. Yeah,
Ba-dum-bum.
You know,
the best.
I,
And
that's one of the most. Oh, all right, you keep going, Carl, because
sorry. Like my favorite bands are a lot of bands from the '70s, and I grew up in the grunge era. When I was 12, I was like Nirvana was new and it was perfect for my age group, and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and all these bands. And Matt really loves that stuff. And Cody is a big fan of the Who and the Police and all these things. And it for
STP,
us,
Stone Temple Pilots.
Temple
That's
of the Pilots,
Cody's jam.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
what I believe is that a lot of modern music kind of takes to a formula, And when we were writing these songs down, like on paper, it actually occurred to me that some of our songs are written in a really kind of old fashion. Like, today's pop music will do something like, intro, hook, verse,
It's very
little
scripted.
middle eight,
Yeah.
hook, out. But for us, when I was going through it, I kept running into this idea that our songs are written in a lot of like A B A B C A B C A B C kind of a thing, which is like what the old show tunes and like Frank Sinatra's bands were doing. And it's really interesting because I was like, wait, where's the chorus to this song? There's actually not a chorus. It's a bunch of refrains, And I think that kind of pays, like you said, a little bit of homage to these older sounds, and that just comes naturally out of us. That's not even like a we're not trying to do that. It's just how we hear music and how we write, and we write collectively. So it's definitely not like on purpose. Not there's not one of us that's going, man, I really want this to sound like, sound like this era. It just when
Oh,
we
see, I wanted to go like this. No,
Let's
nobody's
play
doing
this. Let's play this Primus song. Yeah, right. That was not working.
Look,
But I do have to slip in. That was one of the best fucking concerts I've ever seen. I will say that, Johnny.
which one was that? Which
That was at Palace Theater in like 2017,
Oh,
2018.
Charlie in the Chocolate Factory one?
Yeah, that weird. I mean, I don't know. All that and the whole set that was like,
Yeah, that was the
And-
Willy Wonka show,
yeah,
right?
that was interesting.
some good shows.
That was
Wait,
a
no.
good
Les
show.
Claypool knows how to
Johnny,
entertain.
I don't think it was Willy Wonka. He had like devil hat on, and he was like, it was a theme, but it wasn't Willy Wonka. Your buddy.
Well, it's like Les Claypool's like Hell World version of.
Yeah.
Well,
it
no,
was like-
no, Willy
Wonka.
Wonka you would know because the whole set was like it had
Yeah,
Oompa
it was
Loompas
not.
and everything.
It was not the
So-
Willy Wonka show.
It was
Oh,
the
okay.
other one where he had like the big nose mask
Yes.
and
Yep.
that one.
Yeah.
When was that?
I don't
16?
know. They all look. I go to Primus anytime they're around. So
Nice.
when I say Primus sucks, I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
Oh
Like,
yeah, man.
No, that's what the fans say.
I've just
Primus
never-
sucks.
right.
I've never seen any like his tone and everything. It's just fucking unreal.
His
I don't even
presence.
understand.
But
Yeah.
as a concert photographer, he sucks so bad because they're all backlit, right? Like you can't. So, like I've photographed him a bunch of times, and the best was Mountain Jam, and again, it was years ago. I don't remember which one because it all just blurs in. But they had something reflecting all the sides, so I waited until the backlights reflected, and then I could get a shot of him. But I was like,
Nice.
because he doesn't want to be seen. He's like, Dylan's the same way. They're backlit. They don't want to be seen. And
They want to be mysterious.
But the one thing I will remember from that night, and this is relating to the band, is Carl at one point just like tapped me and was like, "Does this make sense as to why Johnny writes the way he does and likes the music that he does?" And I was like, "Fuck yes," because it was literally, it was like just everything about it was Longo, and I was just like, all right. And it made me really like appreciate, because I dig a lot of rock music, but like, I don't know, I can appreciate Primus. I just don't listen to it like for my easy listening or whatever. But when I heard that, I was pretty blown away. It made me hope like, all right, cool, you can be, you can get into something if you're convinced about it, if it's that good.
It's an incredible live show. The fans talk the whole way through. That bothers me. So you have to find a pocket where they're not like talking. It's like Fish fans. They're not really there for the music. They're there to be seen. So I find a quiet pocket where I can actually hear, and I do go in and just kind of focus really on Les, and just because he does stuff with a bass that I've just never seen. It's incredible. But so what about like with the other bands? Cody, have you seen The Who or Stone Temple Pilots? Have you seen any of your legendary bands? Your favorites?
I did see. Oh, I wish I saw The Who. In any era, but actually I did get to see Stone Temple Pilots, which I would say, yeah, Matt's right. They are pretty much my favorite band. I saw them at SPAC, and they were co-headlining with Red Hot Chili Peppers, and both bands just were amazing. And
What
that
year
was
that
2000. So that was when STP, in my opinion, was yeah.
All right.
This is when the Chili Peppers were like touring for Californication.
Yeah.
So
that was literally the Californication tour.
That was the Californication tour and the number 4 tour for STP.
Yep.
So it was
Good
like
album.
both bands basically were in their prime, in my opinion, anyway. And so it was, to this day, that is probably still the greatest show that I've been to in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Radiohead is way up there too, but and a bunch of others, but that's the one that always stands out.
So I can definitely hear your guys' influence, and it does make sense now, like hearing the album and stuff. So like that you're pulling from the '90s. Carl, you said you're a product of the grunge era, even though I'm not sure if being 12 is a product because that would put me like Madonna and Michael Jackson and Prince, and I don't think I'm a product of that. I hope not, but
I mean,
You could have
there's
went
some
like the
killer tunes
Megadeth.
there.
You could have went to like the Megadeth thrash side of that though.
I definitely did. Metallica came out shortly after that, and yeah, no, when I was like 12 or 13, somebody introduced me to Zeppelin, and I went changed my life. So,
Nice.
Oh yeah,
um,
17, you said?
I was 12,
Oh,
13. I
12.
was in
Okay.
like
I don't know why I heard 17.
seventh or eighth grade.
Seventh or eighth grade. Gotcha.
Um,
Is
prior
that
to prior to that, I was into like Motley Crue and um, Poison and Ozzy Osbourne and
yeah,
Wasp and like like that metal,
the
like
80s
hair
metal stuff?
metal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think I was around like 11 or 12 when I heard Led Zeppelin for the first time, and I just was like, "Oh shit, okay, this is
Yeah.
this is different." Because I grew up on like Beatlemania Beatles, which I think was great because you learn. Carl was talking about the AP. Like I I just remember being like, "Oh yeah, that's just like how a song gets put together," and I learned it from listening to those Beatlemania Beatle tunes, and
And they had it down. I mean, and I mean they had that A B. They had the
yeah,
perfect
yeah,
chorus. They had the perfect hook every time.
literally. I
Yeah, they
think
perfected the whole routine.
They
yeah,
did.
I'm certainly people did it before them as far as like creating the format, but
Mhm.
they they kind of made it like, all right, this is the format,
What's amazing with the Beatles though is their lifespan as a band was really short.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so weird.
By
They find out.
1970 they were done. Like, and people
Yeah,
you know, don't really stop and think about that. Like,
yeah,
um,
And they still remain basically the biggest
yeah,
of all time.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's probably one of our biggest like secret influences as a band are the Beatles. I mean,
I
Yeah,
mean,
we've all
how can
grown
it
up
not
listening
be?
to them. We all love playing their covers when we play them, and it really does influence us maybe the most.
What did
yeah.
we do? My brother and his wife, for their wedding out here, we played fucking Twist and Shout, and that was like one of the most fun cover tunes
Yeah,
Yeah.
ever.
we didn't
That
sing the lyrics quite on though. We
what do you mean?
it was pretty funny. We made a joke with it.
Did you make up your own lyrics?
Oh,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Oh
we did
yeah,
make up our own lyrics, but it's probably not okay to go over the.
No, I don't
No,
even.
no, no.
Anyway, it was that was that was epic. That was and yeah, we've covered Beatles tunes a lot. I feel like. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
They're
I mean,
People
John
are.
Lennon is my favorite songwriter, actually. Songwriter.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Um, why don't we take a quick break and let people hear January? So before we do that, what led to this release? Like what I know you guys said you wrote it part of the LP, but it's not on the LP, or will it be on the
yeah,
new one? It'll probably be on the new one.
Yeah, well, this one, we recorded it at the same time as we recorded all the other songs on the LP. Um, didn't quite fit. It just didn't like work in the mix. It actually we had it laid out so it was in there, and then after we heard it, we were like, oh, it doesn't really, it doesn't really work with the rest of the songs. So it hit the back burner with another tune that didn't quite fit as well. And
Time was a consideration too, the length of
yeah,
the.
yeah, and the song was titled January even then. The lyrics made sense for that, and um, we thought it was appropriate right now, and I'll let Matt speak more to this because he's the lyric writer in this song, as to what it really means, and it happened to be that the change that we all go through at the change of a year or attempt to go through it really kind of pokes at that a little bit. But
yeah. I mean,
I'll-
it's hilarious, especially this year. Like, honestly, to me, January sucks. I hate January. Like, it just like it just fucking like I don't know. You just the holidays. What I think holidays can be fun, and great, and like being around. It is a good high to kind of have at the end of the year, and like, and not even just that, but you're just kind of like I think it's kind of an ode to the people who do believe in like resolutions, or like maybe try to do something, or even just take the idea like you're kind of shedding off the negativity from the last year and moving on. But every day, if something wrong happens, you're like, oh, is this not moving forward? So like you're thinking you're going to change, but you feel frozen too at the same time. And like, I don't even think I wrote it when it was January, but I think I was like, January's coming up and I fucking hate it.
I agree, and this week, I'm getting out of the office. Of course, I'm working from home, but I'm heading downstairs, and at 4 or 4:30, it's still a little bit of light. So like when you're singing like be the light" in like January, I'm like, that's what we need. That's what we need in
Seriously.
January, right? Is we need a little bit of light, and we need somebody or something to like. So I kind of dug it. I kind of saw the January thing,
Yeah.
and I was like, ah, this is
Yeah.
perfect. And this year, it makes more sense this year than it probably did last year, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back, it like Carl said, I think it was definitely meant to be this year, So I'm
Mhm.
happy it did. I hope people can relate, and I think we all go through it in some way, but there's still hope in it. Like I think we maybe we don't even realize sometimes that we are like progressing in a way we want to, or doing something that we thought we weren't. So I think there is some light in the tune as well. It's not just all about hating a month of the year.
the whole month.
Yeah.
My favorite holiday is Groundhog's Day, and it's just because there's hope at the end of it. It's like I don't care if the groundhog sees it or not. We live in upstate New York. There's still 6 more weeks of winter. Doesn't matter, right? Like we're realists. We know that.
Fact.
But when that day comes, I know there's only 6 more weeks of winter. So I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so Carl, we haven't done this, but if you want to try to share your screen and share like the screen of the art, and I'll play the song. And for the people at home, these guys can't hear it because it's going through a different application than our Zoom. So if they're singing along and missing the beats and whatever, it's just comical. It's funny. Just
we,
funny.
we might want to mention about this art. We had a really great artist work on this. Matt, you know her personally, and I don't. So
Yeah. Beth Michelonis is an awesome artist, based in Troy, but she does photography and graphic design in so many mediums and for so many different companies. So anyone out there is looking for some great work done, whether in the photography world or graphic design, Beth Michelonis Design, I believe is her.
When we come back from this song, I want to talk more about that because you guys as a band support the local scene in so many different ways. So I want to cover that when we get back from this song. And
Oh man,
all right, let's play it.
rock on.
Cool.
Cool.
Cold day lost without you. Warm place by your side. Frozen like a statue here, but I know it all will subside.
All right. So we're back, I guess. That was great. I have to figure out, let's see here, bring you guys back in the screen. There we go. So that was great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man.
So I think it worked okay. I ended up doing a screenshot of the image and pulling that in that way, but so apparently with Zoom, if you share the screen, it doesn't go through all the way through, but it's live and learn, and we can adapt. Um, but yeah, you guys talked about Beth doing that art, and I did see the art on that, and I was going to ask because that was pretty incredible. Um,
Yeah, she kills it. She's every time like we give her like the faintest idea of what we want. She's just like, "Oh, how's this?" You know. But this time we actually had some help. We had the winter beach feel. I think Carl maybe initially thought of that.
Mhm.
You know, like something that's like, you know, it's a sign of winter, but also a sign like when you think of beach, you think of nicer weather, you know, and more of a happy, warm vibe. And so Johnny's father, who lives right near the beach in Long Island area, right?
Yeah, he lives down on Long Island.
Yeah, he took some beautiful photos. It was
Yeah.
right after the one storm we had this year, you know, back in what was that, December?
Yeah, pretty much we had been talking about the frozen beach idea, and my dad is an amateur photographer. He's been for years, and I was like, hey, you live near the beach, and it's wintertime. You have any shots that you take, any environmental shots that you take? And he goes, actually, yeah. And he just starts sending me like dozens and dozens of photos. And I'm like over inundated with all these photos. I'm like, all right, guys, look at these. Is this what we want? And so, I don't know how we came to it, but eventually it was like, well, what if we take a photo and then try and give Beth some work in all this? Maybe we can combine the two. I'm really happy with all the artwork we've come out with for this single.
Yeah. So she made a couple images for us, and one incorporates the photo, and the other is just her work, and yeah, she kills it. And she did the artwork for our album release show poster, and yeah, she's just awesome. She made the posters for us, and it was awesome.
yes. So before we headed into that song, so you're supporting Beth, who's a local artist. The album, that was a different artist, right? That was Nova,
No,
Stardust. Your band photos are done by Kiki, who I freaking love,
yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah,
and
and Brian.
and Brian Lasky, Boni
Yeah.
Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Oh,
know,
man.
Brian shot the release party, right? The release show.
Yeah. So Brian's live concert work is pretty epic, and it's just somehow like he's been out of town for a couple of years now, or at least a
Yeah,
year.
he's over in
But
Boston.
But somehow, like anytime we have a show, we just hit him up and we're like, "Hey man, are you coming to Albany by chance?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm actually doing this weekend." So he'll help us out, and it's like, "Oh, we get to see our friend again." He was, and that was, oh god, one of the best
Yeah, he was with us
factors
in the
about
studio.
recording is he was at the studio with us, which he got to capture all that, which I think was one of the best ideas we've ever had as a band. That
It was a really weird sleepover for sure.
it was epic. We were in. God, I wish we could pull up that photo. Holy crap!
Brian definitely knows how to sleep on a couch, though. He is a good couch surfer.
I don't even think
Oh,
he
yes.
slept. He was working all night long. I think
Oh,
just was. I think he was already editing and doing his work or whatever he does for our photos.
Yeah, it's amazing. He'll come out
Post
from
something.
Boston, he'll shoot a show, and then somehow the next morning I'll get the photos for like Nippertown or whatever, and I'll be like, "Oh, did you stay in town?" No, I went back to Boston. Like,
When?
like
Yeah.
teleport? You know?
Like,
He's
actually,
editing
I'm in
while-
both places right now.
He's editing while driving.
I can picture that.
Seriously,
Um,
he's the worker bee.
for the video you guys did with symptoms, you guys had chromoscope, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got really lucky with that video. Our friend Dan Dennis at Dennis Entertainment Group was like, "Hey, this new venue's opening up." And we were like, oh yeah, well, what do you want from us? You know, and he's like, well, can you be like the test subject band and just come in and have us try out the, it was Skyloft. It was before it was open. It's like, can you guys just come in and, have a rehearsal here? And I was like, how can we make this better than just a rehearsal? So we were like, oh, if we got a video
Yeah.
crew. So we played the same song over and over and over. So if they were really trying to get that system in, they had one song to work with all day, and it worked out. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, Chromoscope makes some incredible stuff, and I
Yeah,
love the way they work and the smoothness that we just all get along, and it just rolls really easy.
Chromies for life. They're
Yeah.
the shit.
So in the local scene, Carl and Matt, are you guys still both with the Linda with even
Yeah,
everything? John, you've
Yep.
worked sound, and other. That's your job too, is sound, and
A lot of installs before the pandemic.
yeah, and Cody, you're a producer, and you do other stuff with sound, right? Or with other
Well,
bands?
I do a lot of stuff like on my own, like just on my laptop and stuff. So like
Yeah,
just my own
but
like songwriting,
so you guys,
amateur stuff.
but you guys are around the scene. Who do you, out of your peers? It's a tough question. Out of your peers, who would you recommend people go? You got to dial in on this person or this band, besides band, of course, of course.
Everyone should go around for this because I'd be really intrigued to hear what
there's
everyone
so
has to say.
many. My God.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, but
lot.
think of, I know there are. I mean, we'll say it with that caveat. Like everyone,
Oh yeah,
this scene is awesome, but like, I mean, I'm gonna just go ahead with like if you've never heard of any artists from this area, I think it's fair to say check out Girl Blue right away. I mean, Ariel's just. I mean, she is, she's incredible.
she's next level.
That's the best way to say it. Like I just think pure talent. But yeah, I'd start with that and then delve from there because holy cow, there's so much in this area.
It really depends on which direction you go to, because
Yeah,
there's a massive metal scene around here. There's a massive hip hop scene. Um, but as for bands, I just discovered Let's Be Leonard, and I've been just listening to them a lot lately. And they played at the
they're awesome.
Linda, and I was like, oh man, I hope these guys aren't just going to be like that, general jam band, but they're so much more than that, man. They were like, there's some parts of it that were like, is this Weather Report? Is this like Mahavishnu? What's going on here? It's like it's so different, so all over the place, and it's jam, but it's still song oriented, and that's what I
It's like
really like.
jazz. It's like
But
jam
yeah,
jazz.
Mhm.
Literally,
it's
it's
it,
like to me they were like Steely Dan and Fish combined. Like they were fucking incredible.
I
That
think
was
calling
awesome.
them jam is a disservice because the the jam thing, like just the cookie cutter jam, I want to be like Fish noodling. That's what I get. That's what I'm afraid of anytime I go see a jam band. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. They have so much jazz influence and so much creativity. They're not a jam band. They're
right.
Yeah, and their songs just like all flowed perfectly, and every song I was like, I don't want this to end. I hate to say this because like I think a lot of jam bands are incredible and so much fun to see, but some shows I'm like, please song end. Like I will admit that, but those dudes somehow don't. They just like the songs flow so perfectly. I was like, I don't think it needs to end right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a few more
but
minutes.
but
I like
yeah,
these
that good
guys, and I'm not even
good
tripping.
good pick, Carl. Yeah.
Like,
Good
wait,
pick.
yeah, that's a great pick. Both are good picks. So the pressure's on Cody. Who would you say?
Oh boy, I mean, just to be cliche, there's so many, but I'll go with one of my best friends, Sean Fortune, uh, is in a band that he started a long time ago, and they actually just released a new album, and that would be and they are called Maggot Brain. It's with it's kind of a trippy. I don't want to say metal because that just doesn't do them justice. It's trippy and it's heavy, and it's just
They've been
Big,
around
It's
forever.
epic.
a long
Yeah,
time.
Maggot Braids have been
I
doing it for
mean,
a while.
I'd so far as say that they're legends around. They've hit that
Sick.
status, right? At some point.
Definitely.
I mean, they've been
Oh, I
around
know they
long
did in
enough.
my book.
Yeah, like, is that's fair? Like,
I
they've
Yeah.
guess
hit
they've
that
been
local
waiting on this
legend.
out. I guess they've been waiting on this album for years, so I'm happy it came together for 'em.
Yeah, it was definitely a long time coming, but it was
Yeah.
definitely worth the wait. I actually just recently got it, and yeah, worth the wait.
So I stopped trying to define metal and core genres and just
Yeah.
call them heavy music because there's math core and there's this core and there's that core and there's this metal and that metal and and there's just too many variations. So it's like they're heavy. They're heavy.
Yeah. It's more accurate to like compare them to other bands.
Yeah.
Like, they sound like a combination of this band, a little bit of this band, a
Yeah.
little bit of this band.
Now that's three great choices. So John, the pressure's on.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. The big thing I'm watching, just because I'm in close proximity, is actually Camtron 5000 is working with Merck and John Glenn from Stellar Young. And I already love John Glenn from Stellar Young so much.
Oh yeah, no, agreed.
I think it's more hip hop. It's definitely not something I'm, well versed in, but, Cameron's my friend. I love the kid, and watching him just progress so quickly as an artist is really inspiring. And Camtron 5000, look him up.
He's a good lyrical talent for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. He's working with Merck. I mean, that's the
He
Yeah.
was working with me.
hip hop dude in this there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you passed
remember
up on
that.
him. You sent him over to Merck.
He was working with me, and I was like, "You're not with the right guy. You got to go
dude.
meet this guy, Merck.
Josh.
It'll work out."
Yeah,
I'm sure Josh and him do it right. That's awesome.
and John's incredible too. From
Oh yeah.
City Never Sleeps to Stellar Young, and that's another band that I really felt should break out of this area.
I've been
just-
following them since 2008. John and I went to Oneonta together, Oneonta State, and he lived with a good friend of mine. So we'd be up drinking one night, and he'd just start playing these tunes. And it's like, dude, you gotta record these. And then years later, catching them at like Alive at 5, and he's playing the same song. It's like, what happened? What happened? Get bigger.
Yeah, I'm hoping like their old manager Mara's down in like New York City doing something. I hope like she hits it like to an executive office and then she brings down a bunch of bands from Albany, including them, and be like, okay, now it's time for you guys to make it big or something.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Yeah. So those are all great choices. Um,
And again, that's like
Tip of the
that
iceberg.
doesn't even skim
Yeah.
the surface at all.
you could just say my blanket statement, and if you ask me tomorrow, those names will be different. Like,
Well,
right?
it's fun, yeah.
There you
I
go.
mean, it's funny that you asked us to do this because this is probably a great time to announce it. We've all been collectively coming up with a Spotify playlist of all the best local bands, and we're releasing that on our Spotify as like we haven't come up with a name for it, but it's going to be something to do with the capital region. And so far, I mean, that's why I was having a little trouble thinking about it because I just went through probably 100 bands just trying to find all my favorites, and there's so many in my head right now that I was like, oh God, which one?
You'll definitely have to share that with me, and I'll share it out. I put together
Yeah.
I put together one. You guys are on it too. Like 8.5 hours of local music. 8.5.
Wow.
So if you look up
Good
like
shit.
Nippertown Albany artists or something, you'll see it, and it's 8.5 hours,
Sweet.
and it's only like one
Wow.
or two songs. One song from everyone, maybe two songs if somebody released like a couple recently, and
Right.
and you just and it doesn't have the metal scene. I want to do a separate playlist for the metal scene because it's
So
kind of
big.
it is so big, and you kind of want your playlist to vibe, right? Like you don't
Yeah.
really
I
want
dig that.
Faced and then or the erotics next to like Girl Blue, and you kind of it's
I'd
kind of
pay
a
money for that ticket.
it's kind of a
Well, we
hard
might
mix, right?
we might be going that route.
but
We'll see. No, I get what you mean though. Of
I'll
course.
definitely share it on Nippertown because when you guys
Yeah.
release it, so let me know because I anything we can do to promote local music, local
Yeah.
artists. We just I love the fact that we're kind of like a family in doing this. That's why I do the show on Wednesdays with Mike Hallisey from the Spot. Like we're not
Yeah.
competition. Like we need all the help we can get to lift our scene up, and let
Mhm.
people know like, hey, Albany is really where it's at.
It's an incredible music scene here. It's so deep too. I mean, I've been playing in bands around this area since I was 14 years old, and just to see just the general amount of music that comes out of this area, it's inspiring to see all these people and my peers and people older and younger than me all still just going at it and doing it. I think it's inspiring.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that the young bands do have an appreciation for the older bands. The older bands have an appreciation for the younger bands in this area. I feel like that. I may be missing, like the middle finger behind their back. Get out of here, you old geezer, or whatever. But it seems pretty genuine. Um, and I was telling you guys before, like Tuesday, I'm gonna have Blotto on the show, and we're gonna talk about the '80s, and
Yeah.
in the
That's
scene.
cool.
And but that's how a scene is built is it's not an it's not one instance in time. It's built on the back of everybody else, right? And where we've come with bands like Bendt and Girl Blue and Let's Be Leonard and um you know we're a viable scene, and I'd put us against I really would put us against anybody in any genre. Like Carl, you said, we have a great metal scene. Um, I mean, we have a great jam scene. We have a great hip hop scene. We have more Grateful Dead cover bands than any town our size needs. Um, okay, never forget about that.
No,
But
yeah. I mean,
we have a
yeah.
pop scene. I mean, what's going on at St. Rose and stuff? We have a pop scene. Um,
Yeah. With
but
I
Kayla Silk and those artists out of Rose record label, yeah, they're all great. I mean,
there's something
a good
in the water. You know.
yeah. I mean, a good person to mention there is the age.
uh,
If you know
Adrian,
anything about it's incredible to watch that guy sing. It's just like, what? How are you real? How are you in front of me right now? You know,
Straight soul, just like
so
pure
good.
soul.
so my frustration with Adrian is John's frustration with Stellar Young or John Glenn is I want to see more. Like I hear him, I see him, and I'm like, this is great. I want more. Like, give me
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just give me more. And
You send him an email.
give me more.
That's all it
Just
says. Give
it'd
me
be like
more.
More, please.
I'll have cops at my door. What are you doing? Look,
More what?
more why? No, you're right. Another incredible and just talent. So we're almost at an hour. I don't want to keep you guys too long, even though I am having a lot of fun with this. What does 2021 mean for Bent? What do you guys have coming up this year?
A new record. We've been in the background writing all those tunes. We're not really sure if it's going to be one record or a couple EPs or a combination of EPs, singles, and a longer LP. But we keep recording all these songs, but then Cody keeps emailing me every 3 days with a new song. Like, when is this going to end? Are you ever going to run out? And it's like, no, we're not. Like we're talking about these songs that we just recorded, but while we're working on just laying down the tracks for that stuff, like I said, Cody and Matt and everybody was just sending new tunes all the time. So it's not like we're slowing down anytime soon. Hopefully, we can play in a live venue and to a bunch of people again. And hopefully we get to the point where people feel comfortable enough to be in a group and indoors or outside. We'd love to play outside, of course, but we just want people to hear what we're doing, and that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing.
if they could put 6,700 people in for a football game in Buffalo, we can find somewhere to play music around here, like
Yeah.
safely. So yeah, I
And
think
maybe
that's good.
and maybe this summer, I think a few more venues might think of outdoor things, which would be wonderful. And maybe by then we'll just be more used to it, so places will be able to plan better. And hopefully, yeah, we'll be inside at least maybe for a show this year, or who knows. But till then, yeah, like Carl said, we write music. That's what we do. So we'll work on the songs we have written, and probably individually write songs and bring them to each other, and just have fun, and then stay safe and be responsible. Just do it while we can, and do what we can in this situation.
No, I think that's great. Um, so any last parting words before we end this fiasco? That's my first Zoom Nippertown interview thing.
Really fun, man. This is really cool, and we're happy we're the first
Yeah.
one. And how it happened, like, so on a whim, like what, yesterday or the day before, Carl's just like, oh, yo, we're doing a Zoom
But I
interview.
loved
It's
your
like,
flexibility, and I think right now with COVID, why not? Like, what else do we got going on?
oh yeah,
I
sure,
mean,
Not much.
absolutely.
We're looking at it.
you
Yeah,
know,
no, we really appreciate you having us on, and hopefully we had some people that saw this and paid attention and got to hear the tune a little early. But midnight tonight, keep an eye on your Spotify; it'll pop up and be able to hear it in its glory.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
just
I'm
give
gonna
it a
run it
listen.
on Nippertown tomorrow too.
Oh,
I'll
great.
do a link to the Spotify and do a little article so that it's just a little blurb so that you can't put it out there enough, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
man.
we
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and we
Just listen to, like we were talking about earlier with the live music, like, you know, just keep listening to this local scene. All the freaking bands around here are just awesome. And if that makes you find other bands too who influence them, cool. Like, it's this is a beautiful thing to have in this time, and musicians right now are very fortunate to, like, it's terrible to see what's happened to our industry, but at least we have the craft that makes us feel good and creative in a dark time. That's the silver lining, I hope, for people who are dealing with this, because the rest of it obviously is terrible. But we've been having fun with that, and we're fortunate we've been able to do that. So thank you guys for making this possible for us. That we write music because we hope you like it, and some of you do like it. So thank you.
I like
No.
it.
Matt's bringing it back to that "Be the Light" lyric right there. That's what that is. But yeah,
Circle, man.
we should probably mention that you can find all this stuff on our website. It's bentmusic.com.
I,
That's
I I put them on the bottom too. I put your
Oh,
website. I've got
this
your
guy.
Very nice,
Facebook.
John. Very
look
nice.
John,
at
what do you
Johnny.
got? Nice. The
Yeah,
That's
you gotta get
Brightness in
that.
the Barons record.
Please.
Is that a sign? Is that a signed one?
It is a signed one because I'm lame.
Ah,
He signed it for himself.
and he forged all of our signatures.
Yeah.
I need to put one of those back here. Um,
Do you have
Actually-
one? We got to send you one.
no,
Yeah, we'll mail you one.
yeah, that would be great.
Awesome.
It's funny. The album. See, I'm reversed. So the album I do have there is Blotto. Give.
I thought I recognized that.
Yeah, I've
And
got
then
the
you
Blotto
have-
album.
Nice. Cool,
Yeah,
man.
and a few
Well,
of the
have fun
photos
with
I
them.
used to take. But yeah, no, guys, I really appreciate it, and yeah, and we'll have
Yeah.
to do this again when things open back up, and maybe do a live interview in person, like in like
Whoa.
like the before times. Yeah. So
Looking forward
Sounds
to
great,
it, Jim.
man.
Appreciate it,
Yeah.
man. Thank you so much.
all right,
Bye,
for everybody.
everyone. Thank
Yeah.
you for everything.
Yeah, and for everybody at home, thanks for joining in, and
Yeah.
yeah, this is great. Thank guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.